Welcome to the adaptation presentation of ADD and ADHD by Dina Solomon and Brandon Johnson. When we were researching ADD, attention deficit disorder, and ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, we found many different definitions, but all kind of had the same foundation, that it starts in childhood. It's a range of behavioral disorders occurring primarily in children, including such symptoms as poor concentration, hyperactivity, and impulsivity. Now, what are the causes of ADD or ADHD? And unfortunately, no one knows yet. Scientific evidence suggests that the disorder is genetically transmitted in many cases and results from a chemical imbalance or deficiency in certain neurotransmitters, which are chemicals that help the brain regulate behavior. But what we do know are signs and symptoms of ADD and ADHD, and one of them is inattention. This is interesting because it says a child with ADD or ADHD is usually described as having a short attention span, as being distractible. But really, distractibility and inattentiveness are not synonymous. They're not the same. Distractibility refers to the short attention span and the ease in which some children can be pulled off task. Now, there are many symptoms to inattention, and these are just a few of them. But look at the key word in all of these symptoms. The kids often fail to give close attention or details, to make careless mistakes in schoolwork, work, or other activities. They often have difficulty sustaining attention in tasks or play activity. They often do not seem to listen when spoken to directly. And the list goes on. And for more at the end of this presentation, there is a link of more symptoms if you are curious. Now, more signs are hyperactivity. Excessive activity are the most visible signs of ADD or ADHD. The hyperactive toddler or preschooler is generally described as always on the go, motor driven. But again, look at this word. So if you're saying, I have a student in my classroom where occasionally they're running around or have lots of energy, these kids often fidget with their hands or feet or squirm in their seat. They often leave seats in the classroom or in other situations in which remaining seated is expected. They often run or climb excessively in situations in which it is inappropriate. Now there's impulsivity. Now, some people may think of it as cognitive, which is acting without thinking. But impulsivity of children with ADD or ADHD is slightly different. These students act before thinking because they have difficulty waiting gratification. They want it right now. So the impulsivity leads these children to speak out of turn, interrupt others, and engage in what looks like risk-taking behavior. And some of the symptoms, they often blurt out answers before questions have been completed. They often have difficulty waiting turn. They often interrupt or intrude on others, so they can butt into conversation or games when they shouldn't or are not welcome to. But there are things that we can do in the classroom to help students with ADD or ADHD. These adaptations, one of them we're doing right now. This is called brainwave music that you're listening to as I'm talking. There have been more and more studies on this music that help students with not only ADD and ADHD, but special needs students and general ed students in general in all the classrooms. This music helps students concentrate, focus. It ignites the brain waves, hence the name, to help them work in class and be more successful. And it's something that you can do during a project, during a test, individual work. Other things that you can do is put them in group work. Pairs these students or group them with stronger students that can help them focus. Sometimes listening to a peer will help them more than listening to a teacher. And structure the classroom before the student ever walks in. Make sure the classroom is organized and it doesn't have a lot of clutter to distract students with ADD or ADHD. And make sure that lessons are up on the board, which goes along with visuals. Give the student breaks. If a student is extremely fidgety, can't concentrate, maybe let them go out and get a drink of water and come right back. Assign projects that allow students to get up and talk. Do not make them sit every day, 5 days a week at their desk without talking. Kids need to move, they need to talk. So allowing projects, creating projects to get them to do that will help them focus a little more. And engage the student. If you find out a student's loves soccer, maybe encourage them to join the after-school soccer team. Or if they love music, maybe incorporate a project that has music. Engage the students so they are more willing and wanting to focus on the project at hand. And as I said, visuals, make sure the assignment is up on the overhead and as they walk in and in their organizers. Reward them for positive behavior and provide assistance if you need it during class and in between classes. Have an open door policy. Now, this is good for all students, not just ADD and ADHD. Students get overwhelmed with large assignments, so break it into smaller parts so they can focus just on one piece of the puzzle instead of the entire puzzle. It is easy to look at 5 pieces versus 500 pieces. And supply reading material at independent reading levels and give them options, give them books that they're excited about, that they're interested in. And again, this is for all students, not just ADD and ADHD, but as freshmen coming in especially, teach the students to use agendas, checklists, advanced organizers, and other structural supports to assist in self-management. And set up regular communication to provide structure and support that is consistent between the parents and the teachers. That way everyone is involved to help these students succeed. Now, these are just a few adaptations, and if you care for more, if you go to the second link, those are more adaptations that can help in projects, the classroom in general, etc. And the bottom link is the music that you are currently listening to, but if you YouTube or Google brainwave music, many songs will come up, and they're generally over an hour long, so you won't have trouble having commercials interrupt or anything else. And then, of course, the top link is just basic foundational information for ADD and ADHD. I hope this has been very informative.